coaching, right? Because I've gotten coaching from Carmine on Brawler, right? And I think it's easiest to show this with Rasmus, right? Because I think Rasmus has the most mobility in the game, and he has like a lot of area of influence. So it's really unoptimal to stand on the goalie with Rasmus, right? You always want to be a part of the play, because you have like less buttons for like auto winning, but you also have a shit ton more buttons for putting in positions where you can auto win. Here's the thing. This is where a lot of brawlers get confused. They think that because they're in this situation, and there's a lot of brawlers that are like, in their mind, they're like, oh, it's so easy. My midfielder just wins this interaction and gets it to me. Let's get your car off of here.
Get your car off of here.
Yeah. Let's go Juno. Or Era's good, actually. Let's do the glitch witch. And let's get you off of IME and put you on, like, Juno, would you like to go? Look at this is where a lot of brawlers make this mistake. They think in their head, in this spot, they're like, oh, it's so easy. All my Juno has to do is win this strike war against Asher. I get the core and we score and win, right? No. This is an unfucking winnable position for your midfielder. The only hope you have, and it's just because specifically against this comp in this spot, is you have to hope that your goalie is good enough to walk up right here to seek this pass. Because this is the only way you're getting out of this corner. Asher, any button she has, and it doesn't matter. Asher, X, fill in the fucking blank. Their entire kit is designed to fuck midfielders like this in the corner. Right? And so you never, as a midfielder, you never want to be in this corner. It's supposed to be like a last resort thing. And this is where a lot of people get confused when learning midfield, is they think they either have to hyper commit to this corner shove all the time, or they think that they just have to let the goalie do it all, right? No. The idea behind this is that the midfielder is standing on Asher so that she can't set up against Finny for the one-on-one. Your Juno is 100% designed to lose this interaction like 99% of the time. And here's where it gets a little difficult. Even if you have Goat Blizzard midfield status Tarky right here, who loses this interaction but eats a primary secondary from Asher, right? Okay, he did his fucking job. It's going to Finny in this little corner. Here's the problem, right? Vex is in a shitty fucking position here, right? He can't pass it back to Juno because Asher's obviously going to be in front of him, or in front of her with more of her kit up, right? Because Juno's not going to know to walk back, right? And if he goes for the out clear, Era's like right here to take double barrier. So Finny gets fucked here either way. The actual defense, by the way, Vex, for this, is you have to drop a secondary on your thing and walk out and take this position. Just for down the line. Yeah. Because the worst thing that can happen is you get double barriered, right? Yep. So you just want to drop this secondary to cover this space so it can't go under, and hope that it works like a rune pillar where it just pops, and then you go to take this strike war against Asher. Extremely difficult. I would never expect you to do that. I can't do that. It's hard. Just if you wanted to see the defense, right? So who if you notice this entire string of action of plays, right? Who was completely and utterly uninvolved during it?
It's
the Brawler. It's the Brawler.
Yeah.
It's the Brawler.
Oh my God.
And this is why I always tell Brawlers during Brawler coaching sessions, just sit on the fucking midfielder. Harass the shit out of the midfielder. Because the chances are you standing right here on top of this midfielder has infinite more value than you standing on top of this IME. A lot of people don't really understand this concept, right? And this is especially true when you're on defense, right? You said, I have to come back, well, right? And so when Zanseki comes back, all right, he comes back and he plays midfield. And he's right here on top of his Juno. And then this is what the picture looks like, right? He's on top of the forward. So now you have Moldrifter trying to strike war Asher. Then you got Juno trying to strike war Moldrifter, strike war in Asher. And then you got Finny trying to strike war, Juno trying to strike war, Moldrifter trying to strike war, Asher trying to strike war, Era trying to strike. It's just this fucking clusterfuck, right? Because the Brawler thinks that it's his job to play defense. It's not. Don't even look at the core on defense. Just sit on the fucking enemy midfielder and harass the living shit out of him. I promise you, as somebody who's put like 3,000 fucking hours into this game as a midfielder, there's nothing more fucking infuriating than a Brawler who just sits on me the entire fucking game, right? Because
that's so fucking real.
here's the fact of the matter is, right? If we were being so for real, if you got in front of this era, now
Yo, give
guess
me
what
1 second,
happens?
1 sec. Aerials. Oh, wait.
Now,
Oh,
if you get in front of this, if you get in front of this era, look at what happens here. You are now effectively cutting her out of the play because if Juno wins this strike war and you get it right here, you can go wherever the fuck you want with it. You're out of the defensive positioning, right? And I'm
one
doing it really
second.
close to the corner because it's much easier to display. But here's the other thing: if
I'm
Juno
just
loses this
getting
strike
high
war,
really quick.
if Juno loses this strike war, right,
Yeah,
and it
that
goes to
bitch.
Fenny, right? Now look at what is now available because you've cut Era out of this play, right? Now this out clear is like a lot more bis. Even if she tries to primary here, you just strike it through and you hit it into this open space and your team rotates. And that's how you never once interacted with the core. All you did was sit on Era and make sure that you got to the core before she did. And the same thing applies for your midfielder. Your midfielder is supposed to sit on enemy brawler, right?
Alright, I'm ready.
And it's not like a man-to-man coverage kind of thing, right? This is like it's like a theoretical idea that you should keep, like a concept you should keep in the back of your mind. But the fact of the matter is, if you're standing by this era and you're in a spot where you're closer to the core than the era, you are effectively cutting out her. You're effectively completely cutting her out of the play, right? Because
Now,
your
Jack,
strike will always hit before she does, and you can send it
Serious?
anywhere.
what do I do if I'm Era here?
All right. If you're era, right, the thing I like about Mag Souls, your whole thing is you
I'm
want
ready
to cut
whenever,
this brawler
aerials.
out of the play, right? Era specifically, her best move right here is to just shrink, right? Wait till she's in the space of the Asher and pop secondary, right? Because that way, you'll like mega outspeed Rasmus. You just go ahead of him, and you have to time it right, obviously, so that you can like hit the shrink plus the speed, and then wait for it to go in the strike box. Then you strike, send it in this corner. Asher will have the speed, and then this is like mega unwinnable.
Oh my god, that's why I'm hearing the game twice.
But what's
Hold on. I just failed, but I'm gonna come back.
Oh, what the fuck? I left the room. I hate this. Is the thing I hate most about laser.
But here's the thing.
Oh
This
my
is why I like
god,
Maxwell's a lot. Aerial snack. This is like some mega. This is like top midfielding tip right here. This is really good, right? The reason I like Maxwell's is because I'll just patrol this area until I have my kit up or like anything in my kit. Usually, especially as era, like I will patrol midfield because I'll always have that speed advantage, right? So that I can get in front of him and make this play when I need to, right? But in the meantime, I'm not overcommitting unless I have the abilities to like dismantle the enemy team first, right? So if I have my kit up, I'll usually as era, especially with CTL, I'll start my tornado up right here. I'll wait for my Asher to lose strike war. I'll just send it back in, drop primary on all of them so that my Asher gets size, my Juno gets small size, drop secondary, and then run out in front of this Rasmus while dropping my NATO. So my NATO is following my super big Asher and everything, and I just sped up past Rasmus after sending it to back to Asher, right? Who should win this strike war against Juno. So now Finny has to take this, like this interaction right here. She wants to get out of the way of the NATO. She's gonna pass right to me. That I take double barrier. Super. That's like era specific, but the same concept like would apply if you were someone like aiming, right? You would just like wait till you had turret up, right? And I would hold this line until I could send it to Asher, and then drop turret, and then I would hold this line behind Asher with my strike, and then wait for this Finny to send it out, and then that's when I would cyber swipe.
Or glitch pop or Thoric.
Yeah. Usually I would cyber swipe if she goes like a strong angle with it, like this, or if she goes like a cut angle to the forward. This is where glitch pop I think is a lot stronger. Because you can immediately throw that out, it stuns Rasmus, and you get the same similar angle.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of midfield is just like holding this spot in this position and making sure that every time your forward loses the core, you're like just getting it right back to them until you have your kit up and like a good enough position so that you can have influence on the offense. But in the meantime, like 80% of midfielding is defense for the most part, low-key. You're like thinking about reacting, you're not thinking about scoring.
Okay.
That's why it's so important that, and at like the NASA level, every brawler, every single brawler has to harass the shit out of these midfielders because they're really fucking good. They don't make mistakes. Right? So if you let a midfielder that knows what they're doing just run around with the core, like this is such a fucking unwinnable situation for your team.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, good goalies know how to be influential in this play as well. And if you ever find yourself in this position where the entire enemy team has the core and you're stuck behind, like there's nobody in between you and like the core, like this is a mega int. Yeah. You never want to like sit up here and cherry pick.
Okay.
All right.
Hmm.
Right, does that make sense?
That makes
And Mole
sense.
Drifter, that was more like the core control version, right? If you played a damage character,
Oh, I got
Like-
off because
Was
I tried to
any of these,
cancel it.
any of these, or well, actually,
It didn't.
Zen is more core control, unironically, which is funny.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah,
Now
I
I my
would say
screen.
these characters are the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Asher, kind of as well. She's kind of hybrid, but she's kind of gutted right now.
Yeah. Which is good, quote unquote.
Actually, you know what? Zen. No, yeah, my bad.
Well, Zen is so good because he does both. Really,
Yeah,
really
Zen
strong.
does do both. Yeah, he does do both. But for the most part, like if you're playing Zen Mole Drifter, right? Like it is so fucking infuriating. And you literally get like this is like you get mental points off of this, right? Because it's absolutely infuriating. It's like going against Kazan or Rune or some shit. If you sit on the enemy midfielder and you just like primary them off cooldown, it is there is nothing more fucking infuriating in this game. And it is so effective.
I'll start
Like,
doing
all you
that.
have to do
Again,
is primary them.
I've been playing the game incorrectly because I've been thinking I need to save abilities for just getting barrier and scoring, but I will start doing that on the midfielder.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Like, hold on, let's get to Julie. Because with Julie, you don't want to sit and primary the air off cooldown, right? Because you
No.
have like a dash punch thing.
Right.
Julie works in like in this way, right? So you have to read, you have to stand on the enemy midfielder again. Same idea, right? You're standing on enemy midfielder.
And try and get the core
Right.
near the wall, right? To like
And,
force them
well,
into
you're-
the position. Yeah. Sorry. I'll
Yeah,
let you
well, your
talk.
team's going to be in this spot, right? Your team
Right.
is going to be in this spot a lot, and this Asher's going to be trying to shove it through. The second you see that primary come out from the Asher, she's locked in that animation, just dash punch her.
Right.
Yeah, and then, but here's the thing, you can only find that if you're standing on this midfielder, right? Because even if this Juno gets it through, you're still in a good spot to clear it, right? You would not be in this spot to find this dash punch if you're back here looking for it.
Right.
Did I play the X as well?
Yeah, same thing with X. X is like a little bit more forgiving because he has like with X you can kind of just primary shit for fun. As long as you're not primarying shit backwards. A lot of times like you with X you kind of want to like as you're walking up to the midfielder, that's when you want to like start your primary. A lot of X's will like start their primary wall on top of the core, and then midfielders will just hit it past him because he's locked in the animation.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you walk up with your primary, you can usually hit both of them. But yeah, same exact concept applies. But for the most part, you don't need. I probably should have worded that differently because of the Zen thing. You really don't need abilities. Abilities, if they're like staggered or if they're taking like a lot of damage, that's when ability usage is fucking perfection, right? That's when it's perfect, right? But I like to think about it like with Rasmus because he's the most like I don't know, standard.
Or controlling?
Right?
Yeah.
You don't need your primary, you don't need your hook. Your secondary is nice, right? But it's not necessary. For the most part, you're just standing on this midfielder with like 30% size and striking. And if she gets past you, pop your secondary and go try to strike on her again. Right? And as long as you're sitting here harassing this midfielder, it's always going to be a 2v1 for your midfielder and your goalie, unless this goalie gets involved in the play, which most OSAS goalies will not. They're going to be playing barrier stand do good.
Okay.
They're going to be playing barrier stand do good. And this is how you guys win the game, because this is like mega ultra defense. There's just no way for this team to score, right? If the Ash gets it through, the Finny wins, you get to it first, right? If the Juno gets it through, you get to it first. right? If the Ash gets it through, the Finny hits it out clear, you get to it first, right? This midfielder is completely uninvolved, and they'll have no fucking idea what they're like, what's going on because they only keep diamond.
In my
they'll always play like
experience-
this because they're told to sit up here the entire time.
In my experience, the hard part after this is once you do get the core, once it gets cleared, is that the entire team needs to rotate correctly to be able to like do anything with it.
Aerial Snack is absolutely fucking cooking. He's 100% right. Where this strategy falls apart because well, here's the thing, Muldrifter. I'm giving you the highest level strategy because I feel like I know you well enough to know that you would care about what the best strategy is rather than like what the easiest is.
Of course.
Right. So the thing is, if you're standing on this era, it's especially dependent on like your team positioning, right? But this is where a lot of brawlers struggle because their idea is like, oh, if I win this strike war, I can pop my kit and I can one-on-one with Stubu, right? And they get this tunnel vision where they're like, I have to one-on-one this era and win this strike war and get it through and I'll score and I'll do it all, right?
That's generally been my entire approach so far. So yeah.
Single-handedly,
Right.
how I lost NASA, how my team lost NASA was this right here.
I see.
Right. So, but when you get this core, right, there's one option that is so much better than every single other one, right? It's this right here.
Yeah, I want to get the hell away from everyone. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. I want to like make it like visualize it for the whole team, right?
Sure.
So your Finny just made this clear to you. You got to it first. You struck it right here. Here's the first important part about this strike, right? Era can't hit this. She can't react to it. She can't strike. It's not her strike box, right? It's gonna round this corner and it's gonna funnel into here, right? You've completely avoided the Era, like made her completely like outside of the play and whatever, right? And it just gets sent right here. Now here's the thing. This is how everybody's gonna rotate. Like in theory, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So now we're in like probably Gina's probably up here more. And definitely has a jump ready at least. Typically with most speed. Here's the thing. Now when the core is right here, right? Think about how much better this position is compared to where you were when Finny made this clear a second ago. Right? And good midfield, like the best midfielders are the ones that are able to read where you're going to strike it and they start running there early so that they can intercept this core before it goes too deep. Right? This is something I do a lot on midfield. Right? I think about where the brawler is going to strike. I proc my mag souls and run to where it is, and then I strike it back because this game is all about momentum.
I got her to get in there.
And if you're right here, look whose kit is now fucking sick nasty. Holy shit. A single size primary is fucked for them. They lose, right? God forbid they have the audacity to strike it out. You can just pop your secondary now. Hit it back over here. This is how you legitimately play Brawler Run. You just keep it's like you're playing flag football. Pop your secondary, hit it over here, run after it, drop, bang, bang. Like, you can just keep running around. And your midfielder, if they're really good, they're just procking their mag souls this entire time, waiting for a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, it hits right here, Juno jump, back in, bang, we're part of the play again. Finny walking up, dropping secondary. And there's, like, a lot of shit going on. I don't want to mental tax you. But for the most part, if you guys can grasp this concept as a team, you win OSAS. And I'm being so for real. I'm being dead serious. Because every other team that I've had in the past that's grasped this concept has absolutely fucking destroyed in OSAS. My OSAS team, this is how me and Moshi played. We would just rotate the core to each other. We'd like hit a strike core pass, and he would always play back the entire time. It's like, I don't know. To this day, that dude still doesn't fully understand Brawler. Like, he just plays it second midfield. But the thing is, our defense was insane, right? Because nobody could ever get it past us three. We just played triple goalie, and then we'd move the core around to get it in these spaces. And it's very difficult because most OSAS midfielders are not coming back here to defend.
Made nuts to blow a fucking gasket at Leon.
Yeah. I will never forget that. That was like one of the most legendary moments in my life. I love that. That was so good. Oh my god, Arizona man.
Okay, well that's good.
Sorry.
That's good
Sorry,
news for
buddy.
me because that means I get to start playing differently, you know, as opposed to how I have been playing, which is good. So I'll start doing that
Good.
then. Yeah. Because I've been,
And
because again, during those last 2 matches, my teammates were both saying, hey, you should stay up front. But no, I should get into the positions that you indicated on top of the second midfielder. That way,
Yeah,
I'm not sitting up
absolutely.
front doing fucking nothing. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. That's
Right.
what I'll be doing.
Okay, well let's also the way you phrased that made it sound like vexed and Tori were inting you. Here's the thing.
No. But I wasn't in position, so we didn't know that information. The thing is, I was coming back, but I think I was coming back in the wrong spot. I think I was doing what
Right.
you were saying earlier, where I was like getting in that 3-way strike war bullshit instead of just being on top of the midfielder. Right.
I'm not gonna lie. I honestly do not think that 3v2 is actually any better than 2v2. I think like it just makes it harder to predict when everyone's supposed to strike.
Yeah, I was doing it wrong. Clearly, I'm not saying that they were inting. I need to do better.
Sorry, one last thing. My ideology behind this, usually, and why it's very Rasmus coded. You can see why it's Rasmus coded. Is if you're coming back to play on top of the midfielder, as long as you're striking it in the right place when you do get the core, you basically have very, very similar amounts of pressure that you would by just barrier standing on top of the goalie anyway and receiving the core. Obviously, it's a little different if you were like Asher or something who could just hit dump when receiving and getting it, but
Yeah.
that's like way too ideological.
Right.
You can't expect your team to do that.
And that's why I struggle with Julie because I feel like Julie is one of those characters where she's like one of the hardest to do that transition from your team defending to going to attack. Because like, if
Yeah.
you can get the goal in the right position, dash punch is just free barrier. But if you don't get there fast enough, then they can definitely clear it before you get in position.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, I have the same problem with Julie as well. I actually I take mag soul on her a lot.
That makes sense.
About it.
Jack, you should find me a team.
An ISS team?
I don't know, any fucking team. I don't give a fuck.
Why you were wrong. Is looking for a team as well.
Really? I honestly don't know if Wadi would be willing to play with me.
There's no fucking way.
I would have expected it to be the other way around.
It's like, well, the problem with Wadi is his mental is just garbage. Like he's a great player, but he plays too much, and he'll before tournament games he'll play all day before a tournament game and come into the tournament tilted, and it's like.
That's actually such a valid.
And then it's like if you get stomped in the first set, it's just like it's game over. Wadi shuts down. Like
I have a similar.
but that's like a goalie thing. Like that. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like a lot of goalies have that.
That's kind of valid.
The same
I
thing.
wanted 100% on Wadi though. You hate me, Phil.
What rank are you right now? Ah, tragic. I'm mid. I think am I mid diamond now? Oh no, because of 3Z I'm not. Fuck 3Z, man.
Wait, Lexer had a problem with 3Z today too.
No, I was in that same game.
Oh.
Yeah, no. 3Z fucking refused to play. And then after he threw the game, fucking kicked Lexar out of fucking Westy Cord and then complained in fucking Bastian slot.
About what?
Like you guys, like you guys don't understand. Like this is here. I'm gonna put it in general. Fuck it. 3D's not in here. I think. Look in general. This is how fucking pissed I am.
Int list 2025. Breezy breezy.
Yep.
Int list.
I had reformed. 3Z Breezy single-handedly brought back the int list for me in the year
Oh,
2025.
he's supposed to be here?
I'll just OS talk me if you want to play OS.
All right, Jack.
I would play with you, but I would get 2 LP. I don't play norms.
Right, that's fair.
I'm like, I can't have fun if I'm not tryharding. Like, I'm not gonna like get mad or anything like that. But like, if I'm not tryharding and being competitive, I just don't enjoy things. Things like this.
I probably would feel the same way once I'm more confident with, you know. The
Oh,
characters I'm
okay.
using.
Yeah.
For now, I use it as a means to experiment and like try things and do things
I'd be
I'm not
grabbing
confident with.
instead of trying to go for some overhead right there.
'Cause I'm a very defensive like player. Like I'm a big blocker.
You are a big blocker.
Big blockhead.
I have 100
Why is it
affinity
safe?
tokens.
Fucking
That's
so bad.
well, actually, it's fucking safe. It's just not plus. Holy shits.
It's a solo queue builds character. Oh wow! What? Low diamond is 330. Wow, this game really is dead. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, the season reset wasn't that long ago either.
Wait, what do you mean? That feels kind of like the opposite of dead. You know what I mean?
True.
I always just think about Microsoft as having like 12 people in it.
I guess that's true. I'm just thinking back to like season 1.
Oh, that's
Was
different.
last
But that's what all the
time-
creators were playing, and all of the viewer bases were also playing.
But it was also like the rank was different, right? No, I've never heard of Nismo. We had this conversation.
No one remembers this mode, bro.